Welcome back once again, everybody, and a quick thank to one of our amazing sponsors. If you're wondering what monitors the players are playing on our main stage, well, it's of course going to be the Sony InZone-M10S, and they have proudly been chosen as the official monitor for the ALGS Year 4 Championship and Year 5 live event, showcasing its exceptional performance. InZone is a gaming gear brand from Sony, meticulously crafted for core gamers with a lineup of high-quality gaming monitors and headsets. The InZone M10S is ready to provide an exhilarating experience for esports enthusiasts while giving you the competitive edge you need. Let InZone elevate your gameplay to new heights.
Speaking of new heights, you can get new drops. They're not new heights, but it's one way I wanted to transition. Twitch drops are available for you. All you have to do is watch for 30 minutes. And I know you guys watching, you watch for way longer than 30. But you can get your hands on all of these wonderful things, of course, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I imagine you've already claimed, but Saturday and Sunday, we've got the Holo Spray available for you, and then tomorrow, the Gold Nessie Gun Charm. That's what we all came for, and that's what you can get for 30 minutes tomorrow.
All right, well, let's get on with the action then. This is where we find ourselves. This is the map rotation, and we are in to match 6. Storm Point is now going to be the map that decides which of our teams are going to go through to our match point finals, and which, unfortunately, are going to have to remember Storm Point as maybe somewhat of a disappointing kind of nightmare, to be honest with you.
And this is going to be good news for the teams that have been performing well throughout this tournament on Storm Point. I'm talking Fnatic, I'm talking Cloud9, I am talking GHS and Team Falcons, the 4 best performing teams on this map in this lobby, with different averages, but around 6 to 8 points for all of them when we have seen them. But nothing crazy, no 10s, no 11s, no 12s, like no one has been dominating on Storm Point on this lobby, and perhaps that's the reason why they find themselves in the elimination bracket, Mark.
Well, just a reminder, by the way, it's LG who are in 5th place on 30 points. There are 5 teams after that who are all tied up on 29 points. Team Falcons, as it stands, one of those on 29, and they are in 10th place. If it was to finish now, they would be the last qualifying team. But behind them, Complexity, 28, Cloud9, 27, Green Stego, 26, then 25, 22, 22. It is about to be an absolute car crash of the last 3 games. I have no idea which way this one's going to swing.
I mean, what's crazy, you can separate 5th from 17th with just 9 points. And I just said an average of around 6 to 8 points achieved on this map every single time these teams play it. That's how quickly you can jump up this leaderboard. It is going to be a mental last 3 matches, and you better lock in, put your seatbelts on, because this is going to be incredible.
It's going to be mental, mate.
Mental.
Mental. Well, good news for Noctum Esports, not just the fact that they're going to be chilling because they just won a game, but also they've got Ring Console. And speaking of why that's important, because we got to talk of Zone, and Zone looks like it's going to be a potential DB zone. Down Beast, highly likely to be featured in our endgame here.
It was funny, we were sat backstage watching the POI draft, and Crazy Raccoon were picking like 5th or 6th. And I was like, nah, Down Beast is free, they'll probably go for that. And someone was like, nah, why would you go for Down Beast? They picked Down Beast. This isn't why, they've done it for the Trident,
they knew Game 6 would be...
But now they're rewarded for it. And Crazy Raccoon, wait, do they actually have a Ring Console to scan though? Yes, they do. So, okay, Crazy Raccoon are going to be well aware of where this zone is going, so they're going to be the first team that gets to set up, and everyone else is going to have to arrive and take 2nd or 3rd priority. So a real opportunity here for Crazy Raccoon to pick up some points and start to climb that leaderboard. Remember, they are in 19th position, but... they are only 14 points behind 5th.
And utterly doable. It's ridiculous. We've both got like these weird smiles on our faces because we know that this is going to be a carnage-filled 3 games. And I think it's like a smile, slight nervous trepidation as well, because it's kind of what the players on the stage and the teams on the stage are going to be feeling right now. It's going to be crazy. Honestly, this is going to be some of the wildest Apex we've seen in quite some time.
Just looking across the compositions, and we're not seeing too much changes. Of course, we have lost the Mirage that was being played by Fnatic. They've moved back over to Rampart. Still a couple of Valkyries in the lobby. Catalyst is featuring, and Loba still there for ExoClan, by the way. They are committing to the Loba. Clearly is helping them out, especially with this map. They feel like it could help with loot, and of course later making sure you can get those shield cells. But they're playing it alongside Gibraltar again, not with Newcastle.
Oh, FaZe. FaZe. One of the teams who needs points. And Nax is going to need reviving. It's Kaina who moves in. FaZe, unfortunately, Zenetic will be the last body to the ground, as FaZe Clan will be eliminated first.
And you said FaZe need points. Zero Tenacity are in dead last. They need points.
Everybody needs points.
They've just
what
found
are we even talking about?
First three. Zero Tenacity, with those kills, have now just made the gap from 5th to 20th, only 20 points. Again, very doable, just with one victory. No one is safe outside of that top 3.
Well, this is just to the north of Launchpad here. This is LG and GHS Professional. And GHS Professional, who aren't adverse to a little bit of an aggression. Maybe having the tables turned on them. One tappy, he's all bouncing his way back to safety. And LG, who probably thought we should have a kill here, now have completely lost position, as GHS will not only own the building, oh, what's up, Funk, but also be on the back foot as far as position is concerned. Envy in our kill feed, VK Gaming gone. Envy with some KP.
Envy just securing their spot in the match point finals, you feel, with that KP. Up to 44 points now. Again, I'm not guaranteeing it, but it is looking ever likely the more points they put on the board here in match 5. Sadly, though, for VKG, they're going to have to watch on and look to other games. Now, funny that, because VKG were in 2nd place and arguably one of the more comfortable teams as well. But that does open up points.
Just opens it up everywhere else. If you hadn't guessed by the exacerbated words of Daniel Gaskin and myself, it's quite close, this lobby and these leaderboards. Fnatic, 6th place, but kind of irrelevant. 29 points on the board. One of the 29 club.
And they have been able to worm their way all the way to this western side. And I fear for that team that might be arriving soon on the Trident, because there is a Sheila pointed square at them if that bubble disappears. So Green Stego, I believe it was, is just going to have to reposition, maybe take a pit stop somewhere.
Speaking of which, Team Falcons having a little water break here outside of the wall. There is a ring console for them inside of wall as well. Hal might need to ring the insurance company with a little bit of this driving, a couple of bumps and scrapes to the Trident, but if there's any vehicle that can stand up to that, Dan. I sound like I'm a salesman right now for the Trident. Do you want the undercoating? Oh, you're right.
I'm honestly not sure the Trident...
Great payment plan, man. Let me sort you out.
I'm not sure it needs any more sell value. I think it's already gained enough traction here in this tournament. People have switched from prioritizing one map to another because of how good the Trident has been throughout the ALGS Championship.
Anybody want to try it on commission?
Well, Down Beast has already gained a lot of teams here. C9 right on the top of said Beast, and in one of the better positions to potentially pick up KP, especially with the scouts in hand.
Good look at the hoof of the Down Beast there.
The Down Beef.
Ah.
I don't know what kind of animal it was.
Everything's food to me.
We'll take a look at this map overhead, because we're about to get a little bit more zone information, but I do think it is going to continue to transition towards Down Beast, or certainly that's the expectation of almost everybody in this lobby. If it does take some weird pull, only Complexity would be delighted with it.
Look at what's happening here. Envy Falcons, top right hand side of your screen. Both of them, I'm pretty sure, on Tridents.
No, Envy are going to hit that ring console now. Yeah, they're just trading out.
GHS Professional, in between Envy and Falcons, makes me feel things, because they like to be aggressive, Dan.
They do indeed.
And they could start a little bit of a party here.
Wasn't it on Envy last time as well? They certainly like to push anyone that gets in front of them.
Falcons are out there. They don't want this.
Yeah, Falcons, they caught a whiff of GHS and said, actually, I don't trust these boys. Instead, it's going to be Envy who feel the wrath of Sheila, but Envy also going to drive on away in their Trident that Mark's desperately trying to sell. And they're both going to take the same route on the northern side and go up towards the trenches. Zero Tenacity will be the one team that maybe can hold them out when they do arrive. But GHS Professional, it's going to be a relatively comfortable move in now from this eastern side, from Cascade Falls.
There's a fascinating story developing, by the way, between Envy and Falcons. They've been chasing each other on a Trident for quite some time. Falcons now in zone at Northpad, Envy just outside of it. as GHS continue their way through cascades. And this is great job from the observing team. This is what I'm talking about. This is such a strange situation for both teams to find their way in. They both want to essentially play the same path into zone, but the Tridents, both having them, makes it difficult because both can travel at the same pace.
What's interesting is Envy are playing the Valkyrie, so they're hitting the survey beacon, whereas Falcon's obviously playing the ability to hit the ring console. So they're both in similar areas, but not going for the same objective. So they are just so close, but they just happen to be waving at one another as they go past.
Falcon's probably thinking about wrapping towards the back of zone here. Fnatic do own a huge amount of real estate. There is Falcons. In the bub den. Still not catching on the bub den, is it?
Never will. Now Envy can be overlooking Falcons arriving and somewhat helping out by doing a little bit of damage to Zero Tenacity.
Elsewhere in the kill feed, Timmy's gone down, away with a grenade his way. Lou's gonna follow up, but we'll focus on this one for now as Falcons try and inch their way forward. Really aren't safe for now, and they've got to be so careful of their left as well because they know Envy is looking at this. Now we change our attention over to LG. GHS Professional, gonna be a player down. One tappy trying to escape.
Falcons did get into their Trident, by the way, and now they move on. They move past the one team they were looking at.
Ooh, if they get a little bit of an armor check here on Henchman, by the way, they'll be licking their lips. White armor for Henchman.
August and Hungry just round the corner as Zero gets in the driver's seat. Says, actually, I wasn't happy with that position. Let's change this one up slightly. And now Falcons have been able to find a very comfortable spot, or at least it felt comfortable, as 100 Thieves get eliminated in the kill feed. Can Falcons survive this pressure? It looks like they have been able to stabilize. By the way, Mythic Bin has arrived inside the downed beast, I believe.
Henchman gets up to blue. 100 Thieves fans, 22 points on the board, 15th place at the moment, and eliminated first. Funk and Sykes have been sent on a little recovery mission, and that is to find the last remaining member of GHS Professional. One tappy. Will be going down in 3, 2, 1.
One tappy takes a 3 tappy.
And he's not going to be happy.
Isn't the last remaining player, though? There is still someone else on GHS. Zero's just gone down to a scout, by the way, from Crazy Raccoon. So Falcon's still under that same pressure, as we're going to get a little bit more zone information. And I imagine we're going to continue transitioning towards down beast.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure this one's going to be a downbeat zone, probably pulling towards the eastern side. Doubt it's going to pull out towards the choke, but we have seen that happen sometimes, and it kind of catches everyone off guard. But pretty much everyone at the moment is located inside of that zone.
It was Crazy Raccoon who was shooting Falcons, by the way, but they've got back up to a full team. It's Zero Tenacity and Envy, which I'm very curious about how they try and play this one. And Complexity, by the way. They've been out at checkpoint for quite some time, and they are not playing a Valkyrie, so they're not having the survey beacon information. And you can see at the bottom of your screen as well, the one remaining player of GHS Professional trying to get to the mill to, of course, get those banners and get GHS back up.
We'll be able to craft here at mill as well. So over to the story that we're following with Team Envy and Zero Tenacity. Envy with 22 seconds until zone close, so they know they have to force this. The difficulty here is the cover that Zero Tenacity do have. It makes the Gibraltar ultimate, the defensive bombardment, less impactful because they can play under that pagoda and still be in a position to fire outwards at Envy's positions. Zero Tenacity. Oh, zero regard at the moment as they fly around in the Trident.
Zero Tenacity actually having a good time. Happy to have a Trident,
in these pressurized situations, sometimes maybe that is the good idea. Okay, here's Envy with the Valcolt. Can they get it off?
It's about where they go for me. They've got the information they wanted from the survey beacons earlier. They have a rough idea of where people are, so they should find somewhere to call home. But at the same time, there's so much space being taken. Now Team Burger taking this fight against LG, and Arcstar's coming out in a hope to maybe get a stick.
Well, Funk just went up to the high ground with the castle wall. Bubble's going to go down as well. Sharky onto Sweet, gets that first knock. LG barely anything to play with here when it comes to health, and this is a clean wipe looking like it's going to happen here from Team Burger. Last player alive is going to go down in just a few moments. It'll be Naughty from C9 who gets credited with that kill, but LG will fall and have to watch on from the spectator screen.
Just to update you on Envy's journey, they did land and a couple got knocked, but I think they might be okay and might have found somewhere to actually play here, as Team Burger will be delighted to pick up some placement points, as Crazy Raccoon still shooting over to that area where ALGS and Hungry find themselves, and Fnatic still shooting at Envy, as Envy do get eliminated in that kill feed. So their journey was not a successful one with the Valkyrie ultimate, and that's always the risk you run by playing her.
St. Jude trying to move forward towards his teammates here as they play the tail of the beast. Going to be plenty of teams, though, who are going to be playing up on height. I'm pretty sure that C9 are one of the teams who are playing height at the moment. You would imagine, for the fact that they got that knock onto the final remaining member of LG, that they certainly do have to have the angles at least on the height to be involved in that fight. C9 on that height indeed. Fnatic still at the very backside of the beast,
which is great. Zone's coming this way. Like, this is an amazing position for Fnatic, and, you know, could be a finals securing position as well, because if they can find another victory and surpass that kind of 45-point mark, it'd be in a really good spot for those finals.
It's actually pulling towards Fnatic as well. It is pulling right towards the western side of this zone. So Fnatic, God spot. The only team that really can cause them problems, if it was just a straight 3v3, would be C9 up on that height. But at some point, C9 will have to expose themselves. Not a lot of cover. You know, when you slide down towards these legs, as you can see on your screen right now, the position that Falcons will find themselves under, there's no real cover to play with. You're going to have to rely on rampart walls. You're going to have to rely on cat walls if you're in that position, just to give you that little bit of cover.
But that is also assuming it's a straight 3v3. The good news is there's going to be plenty of teams in this final circle that might take attention away. And I really feel like both Cloud9 and Fnatic need to realize and recognize what an important scenario they find themselves in. Both of them could really secure the points they need for match point finals here. Arguably the two best positions on the map, but that can be taken away from you very quickly if you make one mistake. Now, Zero Tenacity have utilized that trident to get into a better position. Team Burger also worming their way in, and Falcons have found themselves a pretty good spot to work with right now as well.
C9, this is a really big opportunity. I mean, this DB zone, if you have height, you should guarantee points.
You should get top 3, really,
but
from here.
But it's about execution, right? And we always talk about the difference between playing at home with a scrim that doesn't matter and knowing that you have to convert and knowing the pressure that you have because you have the best spot. People can make mistakes under pressure.
Somehow, some way, GHS still alive with a rat. And these points, and if you can pick up extra placement points, could be massive as Team Burger.
We're going to challenge them.
They're going up.
They're going to challenge C9's position here. This is really, really interesting. Noctum Esports being eliminated in the meantime. Gibraltar are going to go down just to force them back. CR have gone as well. Crazy Raccoon fall. 13 squads now remaining.
Here we go.
Unlucky for some. As C9 now, this is a really interesting spot for them to have to try and play. They've given away the ultimate height. And I think it was the Gibby ult that forced them now, not just from the height, but to the low ground as well.
And we were saying how they were in such a good position and a guaranteed top 3, but all it takes is some confidence, or maybe just a big risk from another squad to completely change that for you. And now it is Team Burger and Team Complexity, both on height. It was both of them at the same time joined the high ground here. No wonder C9 retreated. They felt like it would have been a pointless fight to try and take.
Mythic Bin's still up, by the way. I think there's just so many players and teams in the vicinity that nobody can really afford to go for it.
Round 5 begins to close. It's Team Burger versus Complexity on height, but both have to move further west here.
There's a slam from Cole. Sharky does have that castle wall available if he wants the counter slam, but it looks like they're happy to coexist for now. Now elsewhere, GHS Professional will be eliminated, as will DSG Dragons. They'll go down next as well, as we now find ourselves just on the cusp of single figures. 10 squads remaining on this down B zone.
Extra placement points for everyone. Now you're into the top 10. Team Burger still posturing up against Complexity. Both teams reluctant to take the fight, and both teams happy to coincide right now points. Complexity will be the first to drop down and give up this height. Virtus Pro, they go out in 10th.
Team Burger, they're going to be peaking here on Way. The mobile shield will work for now, but it's not going to work for long. The bubble saves Complexity, but for how long? Sharky going to get the first one. Big chunk from Sharky as well. This man's one lands. He knows how to deal with pressure as Team Burger will get the armor swaps, will be safe and retreat back to height.
Yeah, Monsoon, I think, just tries to make a desperate attempt to escape here and maybe pick up some placement points, which Complexity really do need. Now, Cloud9, who did drop down, do find themselves in a nice little nook to work with. ExoClan are going to have to try and escape underneath this down beast, by the way. But Monsoon's found a good rat spot as well.
Don't forget about Mon. Can't afford to pop any shields though, because he'll give his position away with that audio cue.
Fnatic still in prime position, by the way. But the zone does move out slightly towards the middle. Actually, Zero Tenacity are the team closest to where the zone's finishing. Can Fnatic capitalize on this position and make this crowd here in Sapporo erupt once again?
Oh! 120 in a matter of seconds coming in as Complexity will be eliminated. Pricey from Team Burger finishes off that fight and finishes off Complexity. Now the standoff. ExoClan versus C9. And this is a straight shootout, and Shubi, well, he isn't going to be able to win it. C9 eliminated, that's devastating for them. They are outside of that top 10 as Team Burger now come in. Sharky was such an impactful player in that last fight. He's doing the same again here.
ExoClan did so well, but it's going to be all for nothing. Well, for 7th place, they'll take it, but Team Burger, such a good spot. All red armors, of course, but it's a matter of survival, just getting past this bombardment before they start to move.
Team Falcon's still alive. Team Burger is still alive. Zero Tenacity, who was spinning around on a trident a few moments ago, now find themselves involved in an end game. ALGS and Hungry might be looking to send it on to Fnatic here, but they're just going to be met by the Eva 8. They're just going to get barrel stuffed. Leica and Yuka will take down ALGS and Hungry, and the Newcastle is there on Yuka as well to get the res. He peeks to make sure they're not getting pressured, and will be able to maintain that space.
Yeah, Fnatic will be able to reset. Falcons are doing very well to stay alive and stay away from fights at the moment on the south as well. Sheila's going to come out. Fnatic continue to push.
Oh!
GES are going to be the next team.
Gridstego down, and Yuka is doing what he does best. Bubble goes down. Yuka now under pressure. Melzera, last alive here for Fnatic. He's going to fall as well, but here comes Sheila, and she's got something to say about it. Falcons, desperate for a win, desperate for something to hang the hammer, will win game number 6. And that is a reaction of pure relief from Zero.
It is about damn time we saw a Falcons victory, and you can see what it means to them. Boy, did they need that. Elation on one side, relief on that man's face. Waltzy knows he needed that, as well did the rest of the squad. It's a 7-kill game. It is a win. It sends Falcons on to 48 points, which should be enough to send them to the match point finals. What a performance from Falcons. You look back at the journey they had, the race with Envy to get from Survey Beacon to Ring Console, to avoid the gunfire, the pressure they were under as well, underneath that initial bone system around Down Beast, and then they worm their way into zone. They continue to pressure other teams, and that is when Falcons show they are still a team we have to remember are here at this tournament, and you cannot forget them.
Everybody was waiting for that spark. Everybody was waiting for that moment. And Team Falcons provide it. 19 points in match number 6, 7 KP, which has been the thing that's been missing with some of their placements. They've had good placements, just not the KP to go alongside it. But a win when the pressure is on. What kind of moment will we look back on this as being? If, still a chance, I'm not gonna get ahead of myself. They are here tomorrow and taking part in match point finals.
It was actually incredible pictures, seeing that reaction. Like, pure relief for everyone, but how that is emitted from these players. Zero, of course, doing Zero things and screaming and getting excited, but Waltzy, I've never seen a reaction like that. That was genuine relief on his face with a victory, and I think that, boy, they needed it.
These are your heavy hitters for match number 6. VP hold first place, but it's all about the cutoff. LG currently holding on to that 10th place spot, excuse me.
And remember, they were in 5th place going into that game. That's how quickly all this can turn around.
2 more games to go. Just behind them, LG 32 points. GHS Professional, Green Stego, Cloud9, Complexity, all on 30. Dragons just behind on 29. Anybody in that bottom 10 can make it through to the match point finals. We have 2 more matches to decide who that's going to be.
And looking at it previously, I was thinking maybe Zero Tenacity was the outlier. Maybe they would be the team that would just be bottom feeder. But no, we saw them right off the rip, taking down FaZe Clan, putting points on the board. And they have really made it a situation here where genuinely anyone in that top 10 can still get into the top 10. The bottom 10 can get to the top 10, excuse me. I don't know how I'm going to react to that. This is going to be scary.
You having fun?
I'm loving it.
You having fun? So am I. And I'm sure that everybody who's on the desk right now is having fun as well, because I really need you to take this right now to give us a chance to catch our breath, because this has just been absolutely phenomenal.
Trust me, we were losing our minds in the green room, and the boys have a lot to say about the matches that we just got through, so I'm excited to break everything down here on the desk. Fantastic job, as always, on set in Gaskin. We've got 2 more matches, though, left in the series. Before we get into that, we're going to take a look back on everything that we just saw. And, Jayhawk, I want to go straight to you, because you said it before we started this series, the concern with Falcon's ability to close out matches, to get the wins when they need the wins. Heading into Stormpoint, Gaskin made a list of teams that had higher probability for success on Stormpoint. Fnatic and Falcons were on that list, so talk to me about it.
Having talked to Privacy, I know they really wanted Lightning Rod. They've wanted it throughout the entire tournament. They finally get it, and they get their win. And it was really impressive because they had to go all the way across the map, but at the end of the day, you saw the relief on their faces. Zero is obviously hyped, because Zero obviously always is. But Hal, and then especially Waltzy, I feel like Waltzy, having never been to the losers bracket before, I think he felt something deep inside that he's never experienced in his life, because that was kind of crazy to see. Yeah,
and I think that's kind of the boost that Falcons really needed in order to feel a little bit better. Obviously, job's not done yet. We still have 2 matches, and after the scores heading into this match, you saw just how close everything was, separated by a point, or not even, with multiple ties. So it's going to all come down to these last 2 matches. But before we do that, we're going to take a look back at 4, 5, and 6, because there's far too much to talk about. We're going to go back to match 4, Final Circle, the Fnatic win here, Graceful. Talk me through this.
I mean, the craziest part is how this all led up to this point. Fnatic was actually struggling, almost down on a knee before this game started. And it all snowballed from one sloppy fight, might I add, in Viaduct, where they, they had a really close fight. And then they just walked in from the southern side and then forced their fights all the way into the buildings from Noctum, leading them to this water point right here. I was a little bit scared because they have the last bubble here, decide to still peek the enemy bubble. Little bit risky. We talked about that at backstage as well.
Yeah.
However, as a team, they were holding the line, helping the other teams get pushed into each other to force a fight. And they actually racked up 4 kills here, which is incredible.
And arguably, this was the match that kind of turned the tide for Fnatic, started to set them up with a little bit more confidence. But then we head into match number 5, E-District, Noctum. The combination is just, it's great, Jayhawk.
Yeah, you talk about turning the tide. They were popping off in groups, and then in winners, they did not look like the same team. But leave it to E-District. This is their map. They had 3 wins in group. We were starting to wonder, was it a fluke? Was it RNG with the zones? They come from EDAM all the way down to the south side of Energy Bank, and they prove this is not a fluke at all, and this is their map. This is their 4th total win on E-District, and they did it in style. A really chaotic endgame. You see all these bubbles, all these walls, high ground, low ground, different teams slamming, but they were able to secure the high ground. With the shotguns, they went crazy. They end up dropping down and getting the win.
Noctum looking real good on E-District. If they make it through, it'll definitely help them in match point finals. But then, of course, we just watched it live here, Eric. Match number 6, Falcons versus Fnatic.
Yeah, I think this is by far my favorite game from them, and it's their first win of the tournament. And surprisingly, it didn't come with the kills. They only ended up with 7 kills this game. It was all about their rotates and playing patient. They actually had to go, and they started from the tail of the beast, somehow worked their way all the way to almost the head of the beast, and work their way down. I would love, this would be a game that you would just go back and see what they did, the micro, because it felt like before they were getting antsy, they were trying to jump into fights, get those KP, and that's why they weren't winning games. And they finally slowed it down, and it really, to me, it didn't look like they had a chance to win this until they got to this spot. They were getting knocked under the tail, they were desperate, they had to fly in, and somehow, I would love to just hear the IG yelling. They waited, they played patient, they let all these teams push the platform, they sit in the bubbles, and then we get to just see them mow down these teams while they're all stuck on the platform. Usually, height team wins in these situations, but they just play patient, get the PK shots, let them all eat each other alive, and they get their first win. And like we said, they got that. That could be the momentum builder for the rest of this tournament. That is just one of those reliefs that you don't see out of a team like this. They're not usually playing from behind.
I mean, you get the hype, but you can really see just the weight being literally lifted off of their shoulders in real time. You see it on Walty's face. You saw it on Z-o-o. I mean, Hal, it just looks like he's kind of dazed a little bit there. They finally get that win that they needed, and it put them in a safer spot. I think it'll help their mental heading into these last 2 matches.
I think Walty's reaction almost could be a sign of him being extremely hard on himself. For all we know, that he could have felt like the weight was on his shoulders for this tournament. You know, just not performing up to their standards, and getting that is just like that big relief. We couldn't see that side of relief, just kind of a holy cow. All right, here we go.
Yeah, and it's not just them that's going to be stressed right now. Okay, we're going to be taking a look at some stats here. On the line is ALGS and LG. They are right above that top 10 cutoff, separated by 2 points in their overall standings, but here's some of their stats, Graceful. Talk to me about what you're getting from this.
I mean, I think that both of these teams, since they are in the middle of the pack, they're still, you know, they might have been getting a little bit into better positioning, but they're not quite where they want to be just yet.
Sure.
Because we might be talking about, you know, we still have 2 more games, but even the 20th, like, FaZe clan at all the way to the bottom, if they just win the game with 0 kills, they're already at the tiebreaker pretty much. So it's that close from the middle of the pack to the bottom. I think both of these teams are feeling okay. They have won a few fights here and there. Everything hasn't clicked just yet, but I believe that as we go further on, they should be cleaning this up.
Sure, and as these 2 teams are only separated by 2 points, the cutoff below the line is separated by another 2. They're both tied at 30 points. You've got GHS and Green Stego, Jayhawk. It's still anybody's game, even if they are below that cutoff.
Yeah, GHS, they won the first game of the series, and you think that that momentum would carry them forward, but we talked about how we have so much parity. So many of these teams are not able to separate themselves from the pack. Like Graceful just said, 32 points for LG in 10th, 19 in 20th. I don't even know what the projected cutoff is going to be. I legitimately have, usually I do, but in this one, I have no idea. I can't tell you the last time a 20th place team was only 13 points behind with 2 games left to go. That is absolutely insane.
Yeah, none of these teams want to go quietly. As you guys at home get a look here at our series results, so you can see what we're talking about with just how close these overall scores are. Sure, a little bit of a divide being created by VP and Team Falcons up there at the top, but not much. Still completely leapfroggable. We're going to make that a word by any of those teams in the top 10 by having 1 good performance.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things that stands out to me is Disguise, or I think it's Disguise or 100 Thieves. One of them had an like a 17-point game. I think it was 100 Thieves for sure. They had like a 17-point or so game 1 and have had 5 points since. So I don't know if they're just going to do the typical designful thing and wait till the last game to step it up, but I feel like they would be tired of that at this point.
And one thing I do want to point out too, if we're looking at the second page of this, like the second column, Complexity's placement points, 20 placement points, 10 kills. They have higher placement points than Noctum, than ALGS, than LG. They just aren't getting that KP that they're looking for here. I mean, that's important here, Graceful.
Yeah, I mean, placement is, you know, solid and all, but at the end of the day, you need to be able to win fights. And it looks like they haven't really been able to convert these bubble fights that we see all over the place to solid kill performance, whether that be that they can't place themselves ahead of the pack so they can gatekeep, or whether that be that they're losing bubble fights. I haven't seen properly just yet, but they are missing a little bit of kills, and I hope that they can get that ahead.
All right, Jayhawk, it's not an official one because we did those at the top of the show, but now that we've got 2 more matches left and we get a little bit of an idea of where everyone is, do you think you know how this could potentially end? Storm Point, we're on Storm Point, don't forget.
That's
Okay.
like the hardest question in the world to answer. I literally just said I don't even know what the cutoff is going to be, and now all of a sudden, you want me to predict who wins? Any of these teams from probably 5th on downwards, I don't think any of them feel safe right now. Obviously, some are more comfortable, but with FaZe Clan, like we talked about in 20th, one big game, and all of a sudden, they're in. So I don't know. I genuinely have no idea.
You've lost your ability to predict.
I don't know.
I'm not going to ask the casters because I know that Mark would absolutely hate that, but we do have 2 more matches to get into. Let's close this out without predictions.
Dan, who are you predicting? Who do you reckon is going to go through?
Jesus. I think that Fnatic are going to win this series.
Oh, okay.
You got something out of us. And
Sure.
by the way, I say us, Dan, you're not getting anything out of me. I'm sorry, that's just how it is. But let's get into the games. Let's talk about what we've got in front of us, because honestly, we've just been sat here. We're like, I cannot wait to be a part of it. Honestly, it's
Casters start the game. That's what I've been saying. Get me into it.
Dan's been holding the button. But yeah, it's just set up for the most insane last 2 games. And I want to hark back just for a moment to that end game and the reaction from Falcons. If you hear us talk about it here on the commentary booth. You hear us talk about how pressure is a big thing, how much work goes in, all of these things, and you're probably sat at home right now and you're like, yeah, we know, like, we get it, like, but it's so difficult to actually explain what goes into making it to this stage of a tournament until you see a reaction like that. And it's different emotions, right? It's relief, it's jubilation, it's exhilaration, it's just everything, just this big output of emotion that you see on your stage, because they know how much it's taken to get to that point. And, you know, the pressure that comes with it. If they don't win that game, Falcons, if they let that one slip through their fingers, do they make match point finals? Almost unthinkable to think of that, you know, coming into this tournament. And now you're starting to understand, hopefully from those reactions, what it means to these players and these teams to get through to Sunday, to get to the match point final and be a part of history. Right then, I've said my part. Let's get back into the game.
The analysts flabbergasted. And I don't blame them. Very difficult to predict this one. As Jayhawk was even mentioning, trying to even understand where the cutoff is going to be, almost impossible, because we're in uncharted territory, it feels.
Sorry, carry on. I've just seen the zone.
Well, we'll get to that. We don't need it.
I've just seen the zone.
The players haven't even got out of the dropship yet, and he already knows what the zone is. But here we go. Match 7. 2 more left. Not many more points to try and get yourselves into match point finals. Team Falcons arguably have done enough at 48 points. But of course, their contribution to their total score here will impact where they pick their POIs in that draft come tonight.
I have seen the zone. And the reason that you're probably thinking, well, what does that matter? Like, what are you talking about? FaZe are going to be very happy, I think, because I've got a feeling it's pulling towards wall, where they are landing. Now, wall zones, there's a couple of buildings in wall that you can hold for so long. I stand corrected. Hopefully, they have a ring console. Otherwise, FaZe are screwed.
So, initial zone thought
I
maybe
thought
it was
this
a
was
pull down.
going wall. I looked at that, I'm like, this is a wall zone.
I don't know if FaZe Clan do have a ring console, by the way.
It's not a wall zone.
You know who does have a ring console? Team Falcons. A really good opportunity to try and solidify more points here and put themselves in a better position for that POI draft later this evening, because you'd think they should have enough points to get to match point finals. But as Jayhawk said, I don't even think anyone feels safe right now with the amount of points that are on the board. Complexity, also a ring console at Command Center. There'll be, oh boy, the Complexity need this as well, in 14th position at 30 points. I'm sure they'll be delighted knowing they have priority to zone. But at the same time, sometimes it's a blessing, sometimes it's a curse, because how many times have we seen teams move very fast to zone, think they're in a good position, get eliminated in 16th place, get no points?
Well, FaZe do have a ring console, so at least they're going to know it's not a wall zone.
Oh, they did have one.
I'm still looking at that, by the way. They do have one. I still look at that, by the way, and I'm like, this is a wall zone. I'm not. Crazy. Anyway, playable space is at a premium on this zone. A lot of it is going to be mountain range in the kind of upper side of command center. Stormcatcher, understandably, going to be very busy, as is kind of the top half of Elrod. And Thunderwatch was just underneath it. So it's going to be essentially a hill zone, you would imagine.
You would think so.
Still a wall zone in my eyes.
It just pulled somehow back to wall.
Broke the algorithm.
Disguise down in 16th position on 23 points. But again, not out of it. I'm sure there would be a world in previous tournaments where we would look at a points total like this and think, well, you know, it's going to be a really tough position to be in. You have to find a win from here, but no, realistically, two average games and you might find yourself there. Now, early fights are terrifying when you get into the last two matches here. We are going to see people reluctant to take these fights, but at the same time, those throughout this tournament who have had confidence to take fights, sometimes have been rewarded.
Well, Sweet's got the long boy, as well as the Mastiff, so he can hold them off at least, but you're looking at rotate opportunities. Did he stick it? Yes, he did. Envy get the drive-by stick, and Envy take down VK Gaming. I think I just saw Drop Smile. He did. That's a very rare thing in a tournament.
That is the second time we've seen that this tournament. Drive-bys getting ruined by Arc Stars. And people are just planning their attacks so successfully. These ambushes have been insane. And the difference maker, now Envy get a Trident to work with.
Yeah, how about that? Imagine if Envy get in this, by the way, drive around the corner and get stuck.
Or just drive it off the map.
Just
screw these.
Yeah, anything's possible at this point.
Envy are another one of the teams that should be at a good points total to get into that match point finals at 47.
There is a certain element of comedy to the Trident sometimes, the way that it just boosts away in the distance.
It's also the element of unknown, the amount of things I've seen happen with Tridents as well. They get flung up into the air, and players getting hit and 300 feet in the air later.
Vicky made me laugh. Just what? Yesterday? Okay.
I mean, still, how many years into this game and it always delights just in the most
two games the same.
Unexpected moments.
That's the brilliance of it, right? No two game is ever the same in Apex Legends, and it's just honestly a joy to watch. Anyway, let's concentrate on Envy. Already managed to ruin VK Gaming's day, or should I say, maybe not the day, but certainly this game. Fnatic, Trident.
Also, by the way, again, it's VK Gaming going down early. Again, that is a team who's already on 45 points. And again, that opens up more points to the teams who are in that chasing pack. If you're one of those teams who's in the bubble, you're like, can these top teams actually just gain some points and help us out here? Because otherwise, we're just giving a chance for the bottom teams to get back into it.
Well, Fnatic are completely the other side of the map at the moment. I think they recognize they're going to have to collect a lot of Evo if they want to have success entering a little bit later on. Crazy Raccoon, though, holding down the Spider Cave. Shout out to Spider Tiff as well.
Very much missed here on the broadcast, but of course for good reason. And I'm sure we'll see her next year, but Team Burger at the moment, I thought they were going to consider moving up to Nocturne, but perhaps they noticed the armors if they had been checking them a little bit earlier. There's a live leaderboard of how it stands, by the way, and just to give you a reminder of how close it is, in case you'd forgotten.
Can't help but giggle at it, can you really? Terrifying for
If you don't laugh, you'll probably cry, and I think that's the reality for a lot of these teams and a lot of these players.
I was asked today when was the last time I cried. You asked me in a couple of hours. It might be a lot more recent. Team Burger versus Virtus Pro, and another one of those teams is at the top of the leaderboard. He's going down early here.
Looks like it was just Lou they could find at the moment. This is happening down just on the outskirts of Launchpad, and I think Virtus Pro should be able to get the remainder of their squad away, but they might be running into trouble as Fnatic are also in the zone, as Fnatic always are. And you will actually be able to see on this map overhead, look at Fnatic, they're going to drive past the remainder of Virtus Pro.
Wait a minute.
There was one pop shot there, by the way.
Wait a minute.
And Fnatic might just drive on past Team Burger and ignore them and carry on their merry way.
Yeah, I thought for VP that was going to be one of those situations where it was kind of like, really? What are you doing here? We're looking at the zone. It is pulling up towards the northern side. Hillside, maybe pulling out actually towards the east a little bit, just away from the main building. You see some end games there. We do see some ones to the north as well. And of course, we've seen a very famous one here as well.
Quite a historic ending up here. Some brilliant memories for some, bad memories for others. Green Stego going to be one of the teams that holds down a position with all of the mountain behind them so they can build a base effectively, but Noctum may be looking to try and take that space off of them, but they might think again here because they're going to back off. But by the way, remember who's coming down this way. Fnatic are not so far away from here making their rotation, so Noctum do need to be careful.
Did notice in the feed that 100 Thieves had Timmy knocked. Not sure if they're going back to his feet. Well, it did look like it was from some distance from LG, but even so, respawn is going to be available for them. Skies, they're moving. And this is what you were talking about, Dan. Noctum have to be aware, and they are aware by the looks of things. Be 2 players already dealt with from Fnatic. Castle wall away from Yuka. He's going to have to cross. If anyone could give him the schmooze, though, just to avoid a few bullets, it's going to be Yuka. Magic Man.
Excellent movement from Yuka.
Have that.
Just an extra grenade to teach the stairs who's boss. And he'll be on his way. And Fnatic, I mean, looking at the rest of... I mean, by the way, Noctum is still in hot pursuit. Just to let you know, he is not safe.
Wait.
Oh, my! Despite his best efforts, and it looked like it was going to be successful, Noctum made sure they locked down the extra KP onto Fnatic, which does keep Fnatic in that danger zone, may I add. 41 points in 5th place. I feel like the cutoff is going to be around there, so it might not be job done yet. Still a bit nervy going into match 8.
As you can see here, everybody who knows where this zone is going, it is so busy on that north side. Everybody knows the north side is going to give you success. Mythic Bin is going to be spawning inside a command center. LG, probably the favourites to get that. Crazy Raccoon are playing on the top of command center, so not really close enough to... Well, it's too much of a risk at this point to drop down the big zips and see if you can grab that for yourself. Crazy Raccoon might have a pretty good chance of actually picking up some KP playing this height, though, overlooking all of the players who are in and around Elrod. Team Burger down on the bottom side in storm captures for now. VP back in the game, by the way.
Good job from Virtus Pro. They were able to successfully get away and get back up. By the way, LG, Mythic Bin, right under their nose. That is going to be a very welcome present. Sometimes it does just appear when you least expect it, and you start to think, all right, maybe there is someone on our side here to try and help us get in. And they are 10th position at the moment, RLG, so maybe they do need that extra oomph from the Mythic Bin. Zone-wise, it does continue to pull east, by the way.
Crazy Raccoon trying to send it here on 100 Thieves. A couple of Sky Nades did go up. Slam comes in, which is going to push them back, but there's a couple of Arc Stars on that Trident, which are going to force 100 Thieves once again just to buy some time to heal. And they don't have time, quite simply. Designful's doing what he could. Timmy can't survive. 100 Thieves out, and they will leave it to the last game again. Why do you always do this to yourself, 100 Thieves?
A huge fight for Crazy Raccoon. Bear in mind, Crazy Raccoon and 100 Thieves were in 17th and 18th. Both of them around that 20-point mark. And 100 Thieves are going to leave themselves with a lot to do. It could be requiring a win, depending on how many points are accumulated here in match 7. Crazy Raccoon, though, will give themselves the chance to get to this late game.
This is such a risky play, by the way. Oh, VP just wrapped in behind LG. It might make this a bit more of an obvious play.
Spotted him.
Because going up those big zips is pretty much blind. They do not know what's at the top of this zip.
We do.
At some point, they're going to have to take it. Over to the busy side of zone. Outside of Elrod, August and Hungry. I don't even know if they're going to be able to get their feet on the floor here. Henchman gets the bubble down. That is so important. Matafe does go down, but with the bubble there, they should be able to reset.
DSG are very close in proximity though, but are not going to be pushing into the bubble just yet. And the wall does come down, so OAH, they stabilize, they hold, and they will live to fight another zone. By the way, LG opted not to take those zips, and they have rotated round on the southern side and are taking an evac tower now. Just to let you know, they would have been safe taking the zips. There was no one up there, but I completely understand this play. Well,
Wait.
was that on purpose? I don't know if I love it. Oh,
no!
Oh dear. Great bubble, great bubble.
Just a minute.
Sweet.
Sweet goes down, but just before he does, gets the bubble down.
All
And
right,
LG survive.
maybe I love it. I don't know. I don't know what's happening.
No. Okay, LG, you can only get away with things so many times. Sweet's trying to reset, still has that Kraber as Falcon start to pick up some kills on the north side of the zone onto Envy. LG, somehow, some way, against all odds, have stabilized.
I mean, it's messy, but it's worked out at the moment. And actually,
It's working. Has it worked? We'll find out soon.
will it continue to work? There's another look. LG, our focus team right now, because they are the cutoff. 32 points. Kraber in hand for Sweet.
All right, Sweet. Time for you to do what you do best here. Kraber in your hands. LG's hopes in your hands. We know that he can take over games. One of the best Kraber players we've ever seen. We'll have to wait to check in with him for now because Crazy Raccoon have made their play. They're going to evac.
Yeah, they have to. They're on this far west side, and they have to try and go over these mountains or around them. Maybe just a little bit of both. Where do you go? Remember, the zone is going to be pulling far east.
Ooh, just getting some info.
Well, FaZe Clan are right here, by the way. Right underneath them. So they have to be careful.
Sweet just got a knock. Sweet got a knock with that Kraber. There's 119. This is what we wanted to see if you're an LG fan. Team Burger pushing onto them. Funk's going to pick up one of those kills from distance, but Sweet's got to be careful of his position here. There's teams who are firing down that hill onto them.
Dragons eliminated. Team Burger survived. Sweet was watching over, and he was cooking them with the thermite. But Burger are able to reset because of the pressure that came from the teams that were on the higher point here. Sweet had to kind of back off. Nerve-wracking times as we get down to the last 15 squads here in match 7.
Still 15 squads. 15 squads alive in this game. Gibbiol comes in from Sweet. Charge rifle though. He's going to force Funk to back down for a few seconds. In the kill feed, you see C9. Big fight for them. VP currently involved in that one, and VP will go down. Another one of our big hitters deleted early.
And it's extra points to teams that are chasing as well. Team Burger managed to stabilize in the bubble, and they will get a castle wall down, but LG eyes trained on them, hoping they can pick up this KP, but LG have not dived on them. They know the pressure, and they know the risk of trying to push this. As now elsewhere, C9 close to August and Hungry, and now LG are pushing.
I think they hit a Kraber shot there, Sweet, and now they're pushing off the back of it. 2 players already down from Team Burger. They're just looking for the next. Sweet shooting anything that moves, including his teammates.
LG are making this work. It looked messy at one point, but now they are finding points. Crazy Raccoon will be eliminated after that desperate attempt to get in. August and Hungry, C9 posturing up against one another.
Armor advantage, certainly C9's. Cat Spikes are slowing it down though, kind of getting those spikes where they're needed. And now Henchman's moving in. Everyone's weak. Can he get the kills? Can he hit the pump? He has to reload! And Shuby will fall. C9 lose the fight. It's ExoClan who come in to be a part of it.
It kinda comes in, but now kinda goes out. 10 squads remain. LG still trying to force their way into this zone as well. And LG still hold on to 10th position, but hot in pursuit is Complexity on 35.
The crazy thing, take yourself back a few moments in this game. Command center, LG, about to blind zip. Probably thinking that's the next play. Mythic bin pops. Kraber pops. Sweet and Funk get up to Reds. And without that, do they get here? We'll never know, but it's probably more likely that they find themselves in this position. Thanks to the gift that came down to them. 9 squads now remaining.
Yeah, Team Burger got eliminated. LG were watching that for quite some time and did the majority of the work, as now Sheila's starting to pop up in that kill feed. DSG have lost 1, make it 2. Arctic, the last remaining player, he goes down. Now it's 8 squads. Complexity, have to bubble, have to try and escape, and have to move as we're still trying to go east here.
The Skies have just been eliminated as well. LG, they want some more fights, they want some more damage. FaZe Clan eliminated, and is this the game for LG? It's going to be Complexity who jump in now. LG have been eliminated, but points secured at least. Kimchi on the Newcastle, still on his feet and trying to make his teammates stand up as well.
Does get the res. Kimchi goes down. Monsoon is alive though. And actually, the position of the Trident might have just worked out successfully. Now Bubble goes down, and Complexity are going to get the chance to stay alive and reset.
Nobody got finished. Enemy's back on his feet. Kimchi, come join the party as well. You're back on your feet. And Complexity live to fight another day. Falcons still alive as well, with 5 squads remaining. The winners of our last game. And that is, as it stands, how close this is.
5 squads left. You mentioned it. Falcons and Noctum in that top 10, but 3 teams who are not in there. Complexity, who are fighting on that cusp. Green Stego, Zero Tenacity. Imperial House just taking down Monsoon, but they should be able to get him back up as well. It looks like it was from a distance, and now it is into the Trident for Green Stego.
Oh, they forgot Dexter. Or are they just moving it for a little bit later?
Reposition.
Reposition, maybe thinking about getting a castle wall down next to it. There it is indeed, right on cue. Enemy. Let's just watch his 2 teammates fall, and he will be the last to go down as well. Complexity are eliminated, but points, kills, they have secured.
But with that 1 elimination, Green Stego have just jumped up, by the way, to 10th position. Again, that's how tight it is. But can they get themselves into that top 3? Every placement now could be huge points for you. Every kill could be the points that make the difference going into match 8.
They're going to have to be one of the first teams to move here. That's the difficulty for them. They're going to have to cross. Asia takes a lot of damage on that cross, but they've made it. They managed to close the gap, and they want to take this rock. Time for the fireworks, as the defensive bombardments will come in from the Gibraltars. Falcons overlooking the pyramid of players in front of them. That's Green Stego, who have a chance to put their destiny in their own hands, will fall as we enter the last 3.
Falcons still watching over. Are they about to go back to back to reassert their dominance in this tournament?
Back to back is something that Hao is very familiar with in this exact zone. Zero Tenacity will be eliminated. Noctum taken down as well. 2 players still remaining for them as if Falcons trying to push it forward. It's going to be Noctum who deny Falcons going back to back and prove it's not just E-District.
Noctum send themselves onto 61 points into 2nd position and have 100% solidified their spot in the match point finals, as have Team Falcons, both surpassing the 60-point mark. With 1 match to play, they can be on top of the world, knowing they will be competing in the biggest match point finals in Apex Legends history.
Noctum once again, just upsetting the odds. If you would have asked for predictions, I think for a lot of people who's going to be in that match point finals, and I mean this with all due respect for what they have done here in Japan, Noctum Esports probably wouldn't be one of those teams, but they have turned up in a way that maybe even they didn't see coming. 24 points on the board, 12 kills, gives them that win and pretty much secures their spot, or does secure their spot in our match point finals. Team Falcons could close out back-to-back, but they will quite happily take the 19 points.
I mean, you know me, when we get to match point finals, I start to look at the teams that have been winning games, and Noctum Esports will be there when it comes to those statistics of who is likely to win a match point finals if they achieve the threshold. But that's a different matter. You've got to get there first, but certainly Noctum have shown incredible form when they do get to these last circles at putting a dub on the board. Falcons 19 points, Zero Tenacity 10 points, and actually a pretty consistent amount of points from 4th down through, what, 13th there? Everyone putting around